Hello. Welcome back to a brand new episode of this little show that I like to call Spill It. Spill It is a show where I get to speak to inspirational people and share some inspirational stories to connect people together, inspire others, and help people learn something new. This episode is no different. This episode is episode 85. We're getting closer to that 100 mark. But yes, it is 85, episode 85, and it is titled Takeover. Now, that doesn't mean that somebody is going to be taking over this show, because you might remember way back in 2020, or was it 2021? It was 2021, actually. Back in 2021, we had some episodes called The Takeover. This isn't one of those episodes. This episode we're going to be joined by Ryan, who is our returning guest for this week, who's going to be talking about his company Takeover. I can't wait for him to share his story. There's been roads that he's gone down, and he's going to be sharing them all with us this week on our episode of Spill It. So don't forget to like, rate, and subscribe. Three simple things. It just means that it gets Spill It further out to people, isn't it? Okay. So like this as soon as you have seen this. So whether you are watching this on Facebook, or you are watching this on YouTube, or you're watching this over on LinkedIn, then just drop a quick like. Just, it helps with the algorithm. Don't forget as well to rate if you are listening to this on the podcast. So if you're now listening to this on Spotify, or you're listening to this elsewhere, then you can rate it and just let people know that this show is absolutely amazing and every single person needs to be watching this. And of course, you can subscribe as well, so that you are up to date with every single episode that we have got coming as well. Don't forget as well that you can be part of the conversation by just dropping a quick comment in the comments box. It's as simple as that. If you drop a comment and you are part of the conversation, it means that I get to pop your little comment up on the screen, and you can be part of the fun of today's shenanigans. So yeah, if you are feeling up to it and you want to be involved in our conversation with Ryan today, then just drop a comment, and then you're part of the show as well. It's easy, isn't it? Easy. And last but not least, make sure that you have hit that share button. And the only reason I ask for that is because there'll be people out there, and I don't know where these people are, because we've gone worldwide. And if you are a person, or you might have somebody who has been living under a rock, who doesn't know what a Spill It is, and if that is the case, then give it a quick share. Get it on your wall, get it on for your connections, or just share it on whichever platform you want to from YouTube. It's up to you, but just give it a quick share. Let's keep growing that Teacup community. And you never know, it might be one of the episodes from way back in season 1 might actually be really relevant to someone today. So there you go. Just hit that share button. Do it now. Or don't. I'm not going to tell you what to do. You're a free soul. Okay. Well, are you ready for it? Because I've got an ick to share.
Disgusting!
That's right. It is What's Your Ick time, and it's been a reminder for those people who just need to know what an ick is and what the hell is this section on about. An ick is basically something where you look at someone and you think, oh, do you know what? They're all right. Might be good looking, might be cute, might have a little crush on them, or they might just be a nice general person. You just think, yeah, you know what? They're all right. They're quite a decent person. And then they do something, and you just think, ugh, no, not having that. Get out, and your estimations of them just changes completely. Well, that's what this section is all about. Well, I have got a new ick for this week, and oh my life. To be fair, so I thought about this ick last week, and I didn't say it. And I think about this ick every single day, because it really bothers me. It really does. It really does. So my ick for this week are people in general, all of y'all, people in general who, when they eat, they make a lot of noise when they eat. So it's not a case. It's not just a case of like they chew. Because I get that, sometimes things are crunchy or whatever, and you have to chew. So I get that. But it's where it's the smacking of the noise on the inside. I hate it so much. I genuinely have no life than listening to someone chew. There are other noises that people make that also fall into this kind of ickness of my brain. And the other thing that people do that really does get on my nerves, and this is so controversial, because when I say this, there are going to be people that are going to be like, "Hang on, what?" But the thing that really, really annoys me is when people sneeze really loud and they just like take up the whole room of their noise. Like, it just really annoys me. And the reason it really annoys me is because when you make the noise of a sneeze, and this is something that I learned like years ago, and since knowing this has really, really infuriated me. When you sneeze, Sean Delaney in the comments with his little tissue. When you sneeze, the noise that you make is a learned behavior. Yes, that is right. I am not going crazy. So basically, when you sneeze, that noise that you make, that's not something that you have it's like uncontrollable. It is a learned sneeze. So you have, through your time on this earth, have listened to people, and then you make up that noise, if that makes sense. Kind of like hyenas do when they're all like laughing. I know it's not actually laughing, but it's the same kind of thing. It's like if you start hanging around with somebody for the longest of times and they have certain habits, you will naturally want to pick up those habits because we are creatures of habit. We have that herd mentality. So it's the same thing with the sneeze. And when I learned this, it honestly ruined my whole existence. So I thought I'd just share it with you guys so I can ruin your existence as well. So essentially, when you sneeze, it's because you have learned that noise. And you can train yourself to sneeze in different ways. So if you were to listen to somebody else over and over again sneeze in a completely different way, you will pick up that sneeze and you will do it in your way. So yeah, I've talked more about the sneezes than I have done with how much it annoys me. So yeah, the noises people make when they eat really infuriates me. But then also the noise that is controllable and you think it's not controllable. So there's the noise of the sneezing. It's like noise of coughing. Like no, I don't need to hear all of that. I don't need to hear your bodily functions. Okay. I digress. That's my ick for today.
Disgusting!
That's right, it is disgusting, you noisy people. Okay. It is that time. We are about to bring him out onto the air. It is my good friend from way back in 2020. He was on our episode 12 way back in season 1, and he's back again. It's Mr. Ryan Powell. Good evening, Ryan. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you very much. I thought I'd probably best bringing you out quicker because I was going down a rabbit hole of noises that people make.
No, they're absolutely valid icks, mind. I was thinking about the eating one, and I have that, but it's definitely worse with drinks for some reason. But I mean, like people who drink like a cartoon character. That's what I mean is like when they like slurp like tea or something, and then they go, I'm like, why? Don't do that. Like, I was like, you didn't
It's
need.
learned behavior. This is what it is. Like the noises that people make like that, it's learned behavior. So they have witnessed it, and as you quite rightly said, in cartoons where they've grown up with them and they've watched people do that, like on TV, on shows and whatever, and they go like that.
No.
It's a learned behavior. So then they start doing it, and this is why I'm bothered by it. This is why it bothers me so much. It is learned behavior, people.
Very strange.
Unlearn it. Daniel May straight in the comments going, you've got to have a slurp.
Oh, I can't be doing with a slurp, to be honest with you. Dim slurp. Thank you.
No, not a fan. Not a fan at all. However, what I am a fan of are games. And I've got a bit of a game that I'm going to be playing with all of my guests this season long. Are you ready to play a game?
Sure. Yeah, let's go for it.
Cool. It's Halloween now. I feel like I'm this jigsaw. Are you ready to play a game?
What sort of game first?
Well, this game is called Absolutely Useless. Okay, Absolutely Useless is a game that I've been playing with all of my guests so far on season 3. Now, Ryan doesn't know anything about this. I've just told him that all it is that he has to answer some questions. However, here are the little trickeroos that I've got planned. So, I'm going to ask you 10 easy questions. You've got to answer them in the fastest time, okay, to win big at the end of season 3. So I'm making a record of all of my guests' times, okay? Now, this is where things get a little bit twisty, all right? If you answer the question correctly, I will add on 5 seconds of your total time, okay?
Okay.
So your task is to answer all 10 questions incorrectly, okay?
Incorrectly.
If you answer them correctly, I will add on 5 seconds. So as an example, if I was to say to you, okay, question number 1, Ryan, the sky is what color?
What if I said green?
Green will be fine, because the sky is not green, the sky is blue, currently black. But yes. So yeah, that would be correct, if you will. It's an incorrect question. You are absolutely useless.
Oh, okay, right. Oh, I can do that. That's
okay. Awesome. Right. So yeah, your task is to answer all of the questions incorrectly in the fastest time. If you answer a question correctly, I will add 5 seconds onto your total time. Okay, pushing you further away from that number 1 slot. All right.
Cool.
So, are you ready to play?
Yes, go on.
Nice one. Well, if you want to play at home, feel free to. You can flood my comments with as many incorrect answers as you want. I was literally about to say keep it clean. I don't even care. Just flood the comments with whatever you want. Let's go for it. All right. Okay. So I'm going to start the timer in 3, 2, 1, go. What type of fish is Nemo?
A base.
What do caterpillars turn into?
Goat.
What is the color of a school bus?
Green.
What do you use to write on a blackboard?
Oh my god, why was it bread?
On which holiday do you go trick-or-treating?
Christmas.
How many pairs of wings do bees have?
4. All right.
Where is the Great Pyramid of Giza?
London.
What is a dough?
I don't know. A chair.
What was your answer?
A chair.
Okay.
Like the ones
what do bees make?
Friends.
And your last one. When do leaves die?
In an hour.
Nice. That's the end. Are you feeling a little bit less stressed? I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I feel like it's
That
made
was
you more stressed.
that was the school bus one. I was like, I was like, what color are they? I was like trying to get it wrong, but I was like, I can't remember what colors they are because, I mean, it depends where, right? I was like, I really overthought the school bus one.
I suppose. And then I love the fact that it was like, what is a dough?
Yeah, what you about like what dough as in
No, no. What
what?
is a doe? Doe, a deer, a female deer.
I, I'm lost.
No, it's a female deer.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, DOE is a female deer. Doe.
I do. I
It's
actually
in the song. I was just singing it for you. Doe, a deer, a female deer.
I was actually unaware. So you asked me, I was generally stumped.
Well, when you said it, cheers, I was like, "What did he say, deer?" Then I was like, "Oh no, that's 5 seconds."
Um,
Okay, well, your total time. Unfortunately, you don't get to see the leaderboard until the very last episode.
that's fine.
But your total time was 1 minute and 6 seconds. It's good, that though. Well done.
Nice, nice.
Nice. Okay, well, I think that that's the end of that game. So let's play that little jingle to end it, shall we? There's so many good comments that have come through. I've just been reading them while that jingle was playing. We've got so we've got bread on a chalkboard, on a
Well,
whiteboard.
whiteboard. Jasmine's my staff member, which makes it better.
Funeral for all the leaves in an hour. R.I.P. Leaves, says Daniel May. A diadia, and then Doe a deer. So she was singing along to the song,
Oh, I
and
see.
then Daniel, Joe a deer, and
Oh my
then
God,
Jasmine said you
shocking.
were shocking,
Yeah,
absolutely shocking. But to be
that's
fair, absolutely useless. So
hey,
well done. You did the game correct.
I was just playing along, you know.
Exactly. That's what you have to just keep saying. So don't worry about it. When they start taking the mick out, you just go, no, I was just playing the game. You scored absolutely useless. I was just being absolutely useless. So.
That's right.
Okay, so for those people who do not know who you are because they may not have watched our last episode or listened to our last episode back in season 1 on episode 12, who the heck are you?
Just a massive legend. No, no, it's Ryan. I can't do anything professionally. My name is Ryan, and I run children's events across South Wales. We run a few different businesses, but this is the one that I am managing directing at the moment, and it's for kids who really love YouTube. Or just filmmaking in general. So they come along to one of our workshops and they learn how to plan, make, and edit a video every month, starting in January for the new term. Every month is going to be a different theme. So if they want to make a superhero video or they want to make like a pirate themed video, it changes each time. But not only does just the theme change, the learning changes as well. And on top of that, we provide to schools, and then we also do kids parties, which are sort of in the same theme. Yeah, that's everything we do.
Nice. I mean, Daniel has other things. He said that you're useless at making them laugh.
And then he put laughing faces at the end of it. So
yeah.
I think he may be lying there, you know.
And you like bread and butter?
He likes bread and butter. I do. I can confirm I'm a big fan.
So we started connecting with each other back in 2020. So I originally saw a post from yours on a group on Facebook. You were working trying to do things virtually at the time as well. And I reached out to you thinking, actually, this is actually really cool, like what you're doing, what you're teaching out there and all that lot. So we put our heads together, and then I invited you out onto the show, and I did not know anything about you at that point, but we have stayed in touch over these last couple of years as well, which has been absolutely epic as well to just see your journey. And I'm sure that you're going to be looking at your He was growing young too.
I was growing young too. Do you know what?
I don't know what's going on. But yes, so we connected back in 2020. I've kept in touch with yourself, and you've kept in touch with me. Like, we've been like kind of following each other's journeys since that time that you came onto the show back on season 1 on episode 12, which seems like so long ago. I mean, technically it is. It's 2 years. So yeah, it has been a while, but over those 2 years, and as I say, I know that we have remained in touch with each other, and I have kept up to date with your story. So I know some of the things that have gone on, but I know that this is what you're here to talk about. So I'm not going to reveal any spoilers. So for everybody else, and this is your time now to talk about your journey of what it's been like over the past couple of years. So what have you been up to, Mr. Ryan?
Bloody hell, I don't know where to start. Yeah, it's been absolutely manic. So I'll sort of start with like when I was first on the show, we were running events all across both Wales and England, and it was quite manic. We were doing really well up until the lockdown that happened, which obviously puts a huge stunt. You're talking. I mean, I think, at one point we had about I want to say we had 3,000 plus children booked on. And so for us, it was, when the lockdown hit, it was mass amounts of refunds and changes and stuff. Hiring Jasmine, a good choice. But yeah, it was loads and loads of stuff that was, had to get cancelled. And that was really, really difficult. I had a team of 8 people, I believe. And it was really, really difficult to, especially February 2020, March 2020, keep everyone's jobs. So you had to be really strategical because they were full time. All the staff members were back then. So yeah, we had to be strategical in online sessions and learning things. And actually, what we started doing was pre-selling tickets to the year ahead. So we were in 2020, we were selling tickets to 2021. Little did we know that the pandemic would go on for even longer than that. So it was just trying to keep our head above water. And then when we saw that the lockdowns were continuing, we were like, well, if these events don't go ahead, the company's done, essentially. We're an entertainment company who couldn't entertain. So there's not a lot you can do, really. So what we decided to do, we actually started, I started a drive-in cinema with with Jake, who's still my business partner to this day. And we did there's a news article on it, and we did £100,000 worth of ticket sales in 30 days, which is insane. And the way we did that was we drummed up hype for something that didn't yet exist. So we got the rights to stock images and things. And we used to message. That's very nice. But we actually sold tickets to something that didn't exist, and then we contacted a venue to basically go, look at all these people who want this drive-in cinema. So we got 50 people on Facebook to write, I hear there's a drive-in cinema coming too, and then all the locations we wanted to go to. And then we got those 50 people to share it with 10 different friends, and then those 10 people to share it, and we just basically created this hype for something that didn't exist with stock images. And then we took that to the venue, and I was like, it's a bit harsh, but I was like, if I can't do it here, I'm going to do it with your competitor. So I was like, we are doing it. But it went really well. The only thing that really, really messed us up, because like I said, we did events across both Wales and England. We decided to do the cinema in just Wales because it's closer to me. Unfortunately, that we had a midnight lockdown here in Wales. I know I probably shouldn't admit that. But we when we took it to Wales, that midnight lockdown really, really screwed us. So literally, like I said, we did £100,000 worth of ticket sales. And then we lost it all in 30 days. This is probably the maddest 30 days of my life. I definitely experienced I'd like to say I'm an all right leader at time, but like I was definitely horrible to work with at that time. I would say pretty bad because you just growth is supposed to really be quite rocky, up and down and slow, but that growth, at least financially, was so quick and sudden. You almost like you don't know how to handle it. So I'm not being very wealthy like my whole life, so to experience that sort of like spike in wealth was like sort of insane. So when that came tumbling down, the lockdowns hit us, but that lockdown didn't just hit the cinema; it also hit the kids projects that we were doing. So we actually got hit with a double whammy. And I think I want to say we went very, very honest, but I want to say we must have gone about 160 grand in debt. I want to say. I think that's how much debt we accumulated. And again, I think the sad bit was it was no fault of our own. Like the lockdown wasn't. I think the only thing that was a fault of our own, and especially a fault of mine, is my business partner Jake could sort of see that this could potentially happen. He's sort of warning me about it, and I think at that time, because we had so many people, so many eyes on us, so we had like I said, the customers. So you're talking like I said, 3,000 children booked on here. You're talking, a couple of thousand people booked in the cinema as well, and then we also had the staff, and then just like people, friends, family watching, all that sort of stuff. Your decision feels really public, and so I felt back then it was a worse decision to say, "Oh no, let's cut our losses here." So I kept going. That was really wrong on me. And then Jake was like, "No, let's cut it here." But yeah, I mean, it's one thing you just learn and adapt, right? So if I was ever in that situation again, I would go, "No, it's done. Like, let's cut it here." You know what I mean? But I just kept going and going. And what was really sad is that we made it through to April 2021. And no joke, we did all the planning. We done all the COVID restrictions for like a big open air cinema. We done it all, and a week before the event, our local council pulled our event, and that is what put the nail in the coffin. If that didn't happen, we'd probably still be going. We would have figured a way out of it. I'm quite decent with finance. I was able to pull things from other like bits of equipment, and I could make it work, but like that would made it impossible because you're like, wow, I've just got to refund all these people again, so that we had the Christmas lockdown, and literally, I think the worst bit about it is like it was pulled a week before, so we tried troubleshooting, and then we moved the event to somewhere else, and then literally we moved it down the road because when we got pushed back a week, the venue we wanted to use was now too windy on this week, but we planned it for the other week. So we moved it down the road, and they were like, "You don't have a license for it." And I was like, "Yeah, but I had a license for the other place, but you pulled that one." You know what I mean? So it became really tricky. I literally had a call from licensing, and they were like, "Yeah, like you put on this event, like you are going to court, like that's the bottom line." I was like, "Yeah, nah, that's not happening." So that is when we packed it in, and then I became ill. I obviously won't get my chest out on camera, but I've got like a hole in my chest. It was like an infection that during working I was completely ignoring. And yeah, just kind of built and built. But I had to have it was just like really infected, and I just had to have it removed. So I've still got a hole just in my chest, which is like, I don't know. Sometimes it's like a bit of a reminder. So it'd be maybe like, don't put everything into work, like sort of like really look a bit outside of work and things. But yeah, that put me out of work for a good few months, and that was really difficult because when we were going through, like, obviously all these people who wanted to know what happened to the companies and things, I was actually just unwell, like bedbound. So like replying to people was really difficult. And then we had like loads of awful comments and things as you do, which is so it's just kind of a mad thing. I guess the difficult thing is obviously people read headlines and not content a lot of the time. So you explain the story in full and you're like, oh wow, that sucks. You explain the story in chunks and you're like, what the hell happened there? So there's definitely definitely that headline versus actual content thing. So sorry, I know it's a bit of a long-winded story. Where we are today, though, after doing all that, when I was bedbound, I set up a marketing agency. Very random, but I got really good at advertising through the cinema and the kids projects, and so I decided to give that advertising hand to actually the venue that we worked with for the cinema. We signed a few other clients, and I took on a third business partner. So I always work with Jake, like I said, but I took on another one who's actually his brother, Aaron. Very smart boys. And he's helped me a lot with the marketing agency. And when we're back on our feet, a little bit better financially due to that, we started kids events again. And they at the moment, I mean, we're 5-star. I mean, we've had brilliant reviews off not just parents but schools, councils, different places. So it's definitely been like quite a thing, a weird path, but I'm more chilled out now for sure. So yeah, that's it. That's the nice short one, isn't it?
So just a couple of little things happening since our last time together.
Yeah, it's only a little thing.
Daniel's asked a question, and I was actually going to ask this question as well. So Daniel's question is: would you ever do the cinemas again, especially with now no more restrictions?
It's quite tricky. So with film licenses are really expensive. They're like 30-40%. So normally 40% closer to, and if it's something big, Disney, you're talking like 50%. So the only way to, is a little tip for anyone who wants to know this, but if you want to save a lot on film licenses, then definitely offer food with a ticket, and then only pay a percentage of the film license, not the ticket, because you can include it as a bundle. That's a nice little tip.
Very clever. There you go.
If you ever want to start cinema, but no, in all honesty, maybe it's a lot of there's a lot more work in it than I definitely thought. So especially all the legal side, so the land permissions, the licenses, you have simple things, music licenses as well if you play music out loud, and also the reason I did it was because because we had restrictions, but they weren't fully restricted. It was basically the only bit of entertainment on the market. So for us, it was a free market back then in a way, whereas now it's not. You could go to a cinema, you could go to an escape room, you go bowling for a date. Like you don't. So it would be more work now. Me and Jake talked about doing a Valentine's cinema at one point. It was too late now to do it for this year coming, but maybe the year after. And we really wanted to do it because it's kind of a Valentine's Day thing where people take dates. Maybe we wouldn't just do a cinema though. We always wanted to do like a like you watch an act on first, and then the cinema starts, and that'd be quite cool. But to answer the question, would I do it again? I'd have to have a bigger team, yeah, and I'd have to like take on less because it's definitely made me quite grey. You can't see it on camera, but it's definitely like I would do it potentially again in a few years if I had a bigger team. That's the answer.
With everything that you know so far, like obviously from what's happened from 2 years ago, if you could go back to 2020 Ryan and give him one bit of advice, what would that be?
Oh, something is a stubborn. Yeah, definitely like chill out a bit. I think that's the kind of because there were some things I did better then, and I did worse here, and vice versa. There was because I was a proper go-getter, which was awesome, but I just like people are either really logical or really emotional, and I definitely fall on the logical side. But there were definitely times where I should have tapped into that emotional side, So I was very much like, we're doing this and we're doing this, and I guess like I felt like I wasn't very good at like I said with doing the crashes. I wasn't very good at just going, actually, you know what, I'm overworked. Things aren't going well. Let's just stop here and then let's start again. I had to literally run it until it was done, and that's not really healthy. So I would definitely recommend that maybe just take more of a breather. Maybe just like take a day and just go, you know what, maybe just chill out.
I get that though, but at the same time, I think that when you are passionate about something, you do, and it's because it's like your little baby, isn't it? You like it's your project. This has been in your mind, and you can visually see it building up. And I think that's the difficult part about walking away from something or going, I'm going to kind of relinquish a little bit of responsibility and let other people, because it's your vision. So outside of this and outside of everything else and the million other things that I do, I choreograph routines for a theatre company. Now, what I see in my head, if that isn't going well, or how I expect it to, I get a little bit passionate about it, and I'm like, "Come on, guys, no, you got to do it like this," because it's not perfect. It's coming from my brain. So I do get that sometimes you do feel a little bit precious about certain things, and you do want to like keep it going for as long as you can do. Because I'm that type of person, and I'm not the logical thinker. I'm more of the emotional person. So I would be the person that would just be like in a corner, rocking backwards and forwards, crying my eyes out, going, "It's not working." But, but at the same time, I'm one of those people who would persevere, and I would probably end up putting on too much pressure on myself to try and get it working right, because I wouldn't want to see something that I care about or something that I have got in my head that I've seen working in my head. It would be so hard to let that go. So I do understand.
Yeah, for sure. It's I always think like people do anything out of one or two things, right? So you either do something out of like love or passion, and then or you do something out of like fear. And you could do the exact same like task or goal, but you could be running one from fear and one from like love and passion. And when you pick the wrong one, that's where things go wrong. So when I started the company, and we were making sales and things, and it was definitely from a place of love and passion, because there were two reasons. One, I really like what we're doing for kids, and the other reason was like, yeah, I really enjoy what this is doing for my lifestyle. We're growing. I'm able to become a little more free with my time and stuff like that. And it was fueled by like love, passion. It was growing, that kind of thing. When it started becoming like, oh God, what are we going to do? Lockdowns and all this, and fear, and what are we going to do financially? How am I going to keep the staff? You end up fueling your car with the wrong fuel almost, right? So like, it's the same thing, right? I'm running a company in both situations, but I'm running one off love and passion, one off fear. Even though I'm trying to make sales in both scenarios, I could definitely see how one was far worse. I hear people say that. I'm useless at relationships, but I hear people say that about relationships as well, right? So where they're like, when they do a love and passion, all this, it's great. When they're doing like fear stuff, like checking up on them, checking phones or whatever, that can go down. Even though the action's the same, you're actually trying to care, but one's in this way and one's in this way, and it's that kind of screws things. I don't know. Maybe that's true. That's my own little theory.
That's such an interesting way to look at things as well. I've never really stepped back and looked at what the driving force is behind something. And I think having that in your brain to be able to get to the core of what's driving you, I think that's when you can make a very informed decision. That must be the logical side of your brain that's pushing that out. Because as I say, I've never even thought about something like that. Like, what is this that I'm driving? Is it the fact that I'm passionate and the love of the project, or is it because I am fearful of what is X, Y, and Z? It's a very interesting way of looking at things. I quite like that actually.
Yeah, I recommend it. It's that's been so useful for me. That's the big one, to be honest with you. That's because I was almost quite fortunate that like after the crash, I was like bedbound, so it gives you like a lot of time to just think, especially if if you've been avoiding things you don't want to think about, and now you're like, now you actually don't have a choice, right? So it was definitely worth it, and being able to go, well, why was I bothered about doing this, and why was I wanting to do this? And like the cinema was started being born out of like passion, and I was like, oh, this would be cool, and then ended up being something that was just fearful, and it really affects decision making. You really just end up just making some short-term decisions rather than long-term ones. So yeah, it's definitely worth.
What was it like seeing your name and your story in the papers on headlines?
Kind of cool in some ways. Even like I don't know. I really enjoy controversy sometimes. Like, it's just sort of like something a bit striking, something a bit like oh. I I actually don't know. Like weirdly, so I don't know. We've got an ego problem, but I was like, that's cool. That's kind of cool. And then so there was that initial one, and then obviously like I had loads of negative comments as well because a lot of people were affected. And a lot, some people were affected and knew the full story and were okay, and some people were affected and knew bits and bobs and so they're not okay. That was really difficult. So I had my emails blowing up and messages and Facebook, and I took down the original page and things. That was really tricky at the time. I remember I used to get a message and he used to be like, "Oh, gee, I looked at it." It was only like one day where I was lying there. I was like, "Oh yeah, I can actually just turn my phone off, right?" Like, I was like, this is an option to me. Like, it's not like you have like people at your door, like how like being like, let me in kind of thing. They're actually on my phone. So just a bit of a perspective switch really helped it. I was just like, actually, in the nicest way possible. I mean, they are like complete strangers, right? So I was like, I actually like don't care. Like, as in, I don't like, as in, it can't really, it doesn't do anything, right? It's just a negative comment, which, whether they write it here or they have it in their heads, I mean, everyone thinks it about certain people. So it's like, I don't know, just it was really awful when it started for sure. Like I said, the article came up and I was like, oh, that's quite cool. And then, you get comments and things, and that could be really difficult. But I was definitely way more effective back then than I am now. I guess if you want to do anything bold, right? If you just no matter what it is, you basically want to step away from what everyone else is doing. Not there's anything wrong with that either. But if you just want to step outside that bubble, or whether it's like what your family does, what your friends do, whatever. If you want to step outside of it, you have to be okay with controversy. And in fact, like if you ever want to stand for something, like either side, you want to stand either side. If if you don't fully stand one side, or you don't like, I don't know, like you don't get any controversy, then there's probably something wrong, right? You're probably like not being completely honest. Like because there's always, it's just how the law of relativity works, right? You have to you have to have both sides. So I think when that occurred to me, I was like, I've actually done something that because it's controversial, right? What we did with the venues and selling tickets before we even had a cinema screen, which we did get one. But like people are like, oh, that's a really dumb idea. And I'm like, well, it worked though, didn't it? So like but like again, to do anything bold, you have to take the other side. And if you can't take the other side, then maybe just don't do something bold, I guess.
It's definitely one way that you'll learn anyway. Like you've got to be bold, you've got to make those decisions because we're all on this journey together and we're all maneuvering through it the best that we know how. And yeah, I suppose if you aren't bold enough to make those decisions, then you're not going to learn what works and what doesn't work, and how to maneuver through that, like through the other side. And you never know. Like I mean, we talked about it on this show, like all the way through season 2. There was many guests that came on, and we were all just talking about the fact that I just took a chance. Like that was it. I took a chance and it worked, or I took a chance and it didn't work. But this is what I learned from it, and that's the point, isn't it? We've got to learn from every experience, no matter the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever it is. We've just got to learn about it. Like, learn something from it. With Takeover. So this is like currently your big thing that you're on now. What's the message behind all that?
Sure, yeah. So Takeover is it's kind of interesting in the sense of like when I came up with the idea for Takeover, because obviously we spoke in 2020. The idea was like way before then, and I was a pretty geeky kid. I mean, it's still quite geeky now, and there was not really like any after school clubs or anything for me. So for me to be like, I was like, I will set something up that basically the children who maybe don't quite get on in sports clubs or other after school activities could engage in something like this. My big aim is to become a movie star, or get onto these big sets and stuff. One is incredibly difficult. Not that people can't do it, but it's incredibly difficult. And the other thing is you know, when you choose it as a career, it might not be like that kind of stardom thing you have in your head. You've got to go through a lot of things that aren't very nice, and you know, a lot of hard work and stuff, and a lot of children, especially myself when I was a child. I just wanted the fantasy of basically being like a movie star or whatever. And so my aim really is, you know, could we give them that fantasy within a couple of days? So that thing that you normally have to like train a long time for, you know, could we just do that experience in a few days? So I think for us, it's definitely like, you know, they come into the workshop, they make an edit video. As of next year, they'll be able to keep and watch the videos at home as well. And what I eventually want to do is I want to run, I used to years ago, but I want to run big cinema events where they can then watch the videos in cinema. At the moment, we're holding back off on that because of rising costs and things. We're basically doing less risky things at the minute. So we're just focusing on the core workshops and stuff. But the main message for us is definitely like the idea of becoming a star within minutes. And we also create like an environment where messing up is okay, because that's a huge one. I think my one of the most inspirational people in my life was my bass guitar teacher. Loved playing the bass, and he all he did differently from all the other teachers I had is he made it okay to mess up, which is really cool. So I used to like play bum notes on the bass, and he was like, "Wow, that was dreadful." You know, that for me is really useful. Like I just like, it was someone who was like, "Hey, that's fine." Like he's like, messing up is good. Like that just shows that you're giving it a go. And I was like, that was huge. And I was really young when I heard that as well. So that's something we're trying to do here, is that they get up, they have a go. Like their first video is probably going to be awful, and that's fine. That is good. Like, you know what I mean? Because it will just get better each time. So yeah.
That's so nice. I love that. With Takeover and with yourself, what is next? And obviously, you just touched on what your plans are with Takeover, but what's next for you, and what is in the current future for Takeover?
Sure. Okay. So with Takeover, with kids entertainment, I've been doing it a long time. So I've been doing it like I've been doing kids entertainment a long time, not just like this sort of thing. So, you know, even from the age of 16 as a Christmas elf, you know. I think my elf name was Peppermint Sticks. That's that's something. But I'm actually I'm getting quite good at systemizing things. So I'm getting very good at knowing like what adverts to run and how many people I'll get off this advert versus that advert and stuff. And so I actually want to systemize Takeover in a year to a point where like we have different themes running all the time. We have kids parties running. We have the business bookings and school bookings size up. And then we have the big cinema event at the end of the year. Now, basically want that to be Takeover. I actually don't want it to do too many things. I actually want it to just be really good at the things it's currently doing. And then I want to be in a year. Actually, want to be replaced. I actually want someone else to come in and take that off me, because I've got two pretty big passions which are completely not related to kids entertainment. But I still do this stuff in the business. I'm actually really into finance, which is really strange considering the kids stuff. And I'm really into marketing and targeted advertising, which again, that's why we started a marketing agency. So you know, I'm not too much into like daily social media posting and stuff when it comes to advertising. I'm more of like the targeted nitty gritty data part of it. But I just randomly picked up on those passions. It was really strange. There's not ones I ever would have thought of when I set up a kids club. I guess it's just so random. I was like awful at school as well, so I don't really know where it's come from. But I actually, especially with what's going on in like the economy and stuff at the minute, I would love to do something in finance, because actually the fall of the companies left me in £25,000 worth of personal debt, and in a year I got out of it. So I would love to be able to share how to do stuff like that, because that could potentially
That's
help a lot.
amazing.
Yeah, it's quite cool. You know, that's it definitely took a lot of work, and you know, I like day trade in like stocks and things to try and make it happen. But like yeah, I was in a lot of personal debt, and I've managed to bounce. So I'd love to share it. I just treat it like a big board game. Sometimes it's just really fun. I don't know if it's supposed to, but I don't know. Yeah, so that's for me. That's what I want to do. And for Takeover, yeah, I think I'm actually. We said about the logical thing. I'm actually more of an implementer, and I'm really good at like structuring and getting people in and stuff, which is why I work with my business partners who are probably more creative than I am. I would really love someone to be creative and come and help me with my student debt. Any tips or tricks? Just don't pay it back. Just, I mean, student debt, you could just earn slightly under it, not pay it back. And, there's a lot of things you can do with student debt. Yeah, that's what's new for me. I know it's like completely not kids entertainment, but I really want to give someone who's passionate on it a real good go. And a lot of people who are passionate on things, like too passionate on things, sometimes can be blindsided by the finance. So someone who really loves like baking cakes doesn't mean they should set up a baking shop because they might not be able to buy and sell it. And with the kids entertainment stuff, I could just find someone who's really into kids entertainment because I've already taken care of the buying and selling stuff. Mm-hmm. So that'd be great to give to someone for sure.
Nice. Now, looking back on who you were back in 2020 and the person that you are today, what do you think has been your biggest growth, or how do you think that you've changed?
God, I hope I have. No, I'm joking. For sure. My biggest change is I'm slightly more patient. Yeah, I really felt like everything had to be done like the next day. I don't know. I just had some sort of complex, like, if it's not done today, then it's not done, kind of weird thing. Whereas now I'm just healthier, I'm more strategical, and just generally, I'm slightly more empathetic as well, for sure. I'm able to instead of just always looking at things objectively, I'm able to go, look beyond a little bit. So someone's like, oh yeah, I've not done X, Y, and Z. I'm not just like, well, why? Like, I'm more like, I can sit down with them a little bit and be like, is there anything I can do to help you achieve X, Y, Z? Rather than just being like, yeah, it's not good. So yeah, it's definitely taught me a lot more empathy, and just taught me like literally. Biggest growth is definitely that patience, though. So that willing to go, if something's not working first time, to step back and just kind of go, very caring manager, like, big growth. But I'm able to step back and go, actually, let's give it a week, or let's give it a bit extra time. Whereas before, I would have been like, if we don't hit this target by this date, then like, it's humbled me in a lot of ways. I just thought I couldn't be wrong. I was a bit of a type. Like, when I really think about it, I'm like, I just couldn't be wrong back then. I was right. But whereas now I'm like, actually, maybe the crash was good for me, to be honest with you. I think I needed it for sure.
Maybe things. This is it. So I've talked about before that I was releasing a book called A Little Bit of Happiness, and it's about finding those little bits of happiness, those little positive things that have come out of a dark part of your life. And you've kind of hit the nail on the head there, like the fact that you feel as though you may have had to have gone through that to help you just relax a little bit, like just a little bit, just a little bit of relaxing. But you're there, and just seeing you smile and all that lot, you can just see that you are putting out a different energy about you. So I just want to say a massive congratulations. And it was a shitty time for you to go through it all and everything. And obviously, I wish that you hadn't have had to go through that. But at the same time, that you've learned from that, and that's what's important. And yeah, it's very inspirational of you, and as I say, you give off a very positive energy at the minute. You can see that. So yeah, it's like a different person.
Yeah, I know. It's that's so weird. It's so strange. Yeah, if I didn't go through it then, I would have just gone through it at some point, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need something to it depends on the severity, right? But sometimes you need something to go, no, you're wrong. Like, I'm willing to look at the facts as well, and they'll be like, yeah, I'm wrong. So for sure.
Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you'd like the opportunity to talk about now?
I don't think so. No.
Nice. That's fine. It doesn't always have to be something. I think this is a nice little thing to end our time together. Well, from 2020 Marcus to 2020 Ryan, I said a massive thank you, and I'm going to say from 2022 Marcus to 2022 Ryan, a massive thank you again. It's been so good to see you again on here with a full circle of this is where you were, this is who you are now, and like the growth that's happening. As I said, you are giving off so much positive energy. It's really, really nice to see. And I never thought that we would stay in touch anyway, like from way back in 2020, and yet here we are, still in touch. It's great to see your journey, and I'm sure that though still it may come to an end, I'm still going to be really excited to see where your journey goes next. So yeah, from me, a massive thank you again for coming on the show. But before I let you go, where can people find you if they're wanting some more information, or they wanting to know the work that you do, or how they can maybe get some help and advice if they're wanting to get set up or anything like that?
Sure, yeah. So if you're interested in the kids stuff that we do, whether it's kids pies and just general workshops, maybe you have a sibling or someone, you can find us on Takeover on Facebook. You can find us on, I believe we're Takeover Academy UK on Instagram. And then we are, what else are we on? I think that's the main two that we use because of our target audience. So, and myself, you can find me on LinkedIn on Ryan Powell. I think I'm on my full name actually. So it's Ryan Christopher Powell. It's very up myself. So you can find me on LinkedIn. And yeah, that's really the main few we use. I actually really only use social media for work, to be honest with you. Apart from that, I just post absolute shit. So, yeah.
I'll make sure as well that for those people who are listening to this on your preferred podcast streaming service, then make sure you check your show notes as well for those contact information. For that contact information from Ryan as well, you'll see that in the show notes. So make sure you check those out if you're wanting to get in touch as well. Now, at the end of every show, I give my guests the opportunity to give a quote. And it could be something that they stand by, live by, it could be something they just made up, or whatever. It's up to you. And I'm just wondering if you've got a quote for me and my viewers and listeners today.
Yes, I do. It's you can't fail if you're still in the game. I think that's it. So just as long as you're not dead. You can keep trying technically, right? So
amazing quote. Absolutely love it. And it's to be fair, it's true. You got to keep going, otherwise that's when you fail. Like if you're still doing it, you may stumble, but as you said, from all the way throughout this, it's a learning process, and you've got to keep going because you're learning from every single thing that happens, and that way you are still in the game, if you will. You only fail if you stop. So well done. I really like that. Might be a little difficult if you're dead, Ryan.
It's pretty tricky. That is a huge disadvantage. So I would recommend staying alive. That's pro.
That's my inspirational quote for today. I recommend staying alive.
Pro business tip. I'd recommend living.
As an FYI, I'm going to use that quote. I'm going to put it on a t-shirt for you.
That's great. That's
pro level tip.
Pro tip. Stay
I love
alive.
it. I love it. Coming to the Spillet store near you.
Yeah, lovely. Love it.
Okay. Well, one more time, I just want to say a massive thank you again for coming on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure, and no doubt I will continue seeing your story grow, like continue, and your journey to grow even more and bigger and better than it has been before as well. But yeah, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for coming back on the show and for being so open and honest with us and showing your truth and everything else. Thank you for being amazing, Ryan.
Well, thank you very much. Really enjoyed. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, say your goodbyes.
Ciao.
Bye. And there we go. That was another episode of Spill It with my friend Ryan. So, yeah, great little bits of advice there. And yes, 100%, that's good. That little business thing at the end, pro level tip, it's definitely going on a t-shirt. Don't even care. Okay, well, it is that time. I think it's about time that we wrap this little bad boy up. So, without further ado, let's start doing the wrap up. Beautiful podcast, says Jasmine. Thank you so much, Jasmine. Thank you for joining as well. Okay, well, next week on Spill It, I have got a little treat for you. So you will find out on this Friday's episode, actually, of who our guest is. Here's a little quick sneak preview. There we go. Look at this. It's Mr. Lawrence Howard. It's Lawrence Howard. He's going back on the show to talk about inclusion. But you're going to be hearing a lot more about our episode together on Friday's episode of Tea with Marcus. That's right. So every single Friday, you get an extra episode per week with me. Here we are. Tea Time with Marcus. Fridays at 7 o'clock. That's right. So just come along. Basically, on a Friday episode, we will be doing a little bit more of a deep dive into the episodes that we have recorded today. So if you want to listen to a little bit more with me about what my thoughts are on today's episode, then make sure you head over to either Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn on Friday's episode at 7 o'clock. And then, of course, on Monday, we will be joined by Lawrence, who will be coming on to talk about inclusion. Lawrence came on the episode in season 1 when he was talking about the inclusion in sports and LGBT. So it's going to be really cool having him back on the show as well. Now, you can follow me on all of my socials, literally wherever there is an @ symbol. You can find me at @Marcus W. Except for LinkedIn, you can find me with my professional name, Marcus Wright. But everywhere else, you can find me at @Marcus W. That's including like everywhere. Like anywhere that there's a username, you just type in @Marcus W and you'll find me. That's it. Simple as that. But you can get in touch with me via email as well. All you have to do is just drop me an email if you've got any comments, questions, concerns, worries, or you just want to drop me a message and just say hi. Feel free to. It's marcus@spillit.uk. Simple as that. Ooh, isn't that good? Another episode down, and we're slowly getting to that 100th episode where we will say our official goodbyes. It's a little bit emotional, that isn't it? I'm going to be an absolute emotional wreck, and I'm not looking forward to it. Well, obviously, for now, I just want to say a massive thank you one more time for Mr. Ryan Powell, who came and joined us tonight. And again, a massive thank you to every single person out there, new people, old people, whoever you are, for just being part of this Spill It journey with me. And of course, those people who came on tonight's episode, and just joined us in the comments and gave it a watch in the background, or however you were watching it. So a massive thank you to you guys at home as well. Okay, well, here we go. You ready for one more time? Until we spill it again, it's bye for now.
Thank you for watching this week's episode of Spill It. You can catch Spill It live every week over on Facebook, YouTube, and now LinkedIn. You can also catch up with Spill It on the move on your preferred podcast streaming service. And don't forget to follow me on all my socials at @Marcus W. And for anything Spill It related, you can always get in touch with me by dropping me an email, marcus@spillit.uk.